Okay, this is Sunday, the 25th of October 2020. But the daily Boris graph that I'm holding up there before the camera is, of course, of Saturday. And the reason I'm doing that is twofold, or threefolds actually. First of all, the main headline there, the headline is a total, complete, stupid, ignorant, racist, idiotic headline. Because it says that the National Trust, the British National Trust that is, faces inquiry into its purpose. Now that is completely misleading because first of all, it is in denial of the crisis that otherwise dominates all the Fleet Street, no matter how misleading their treatment of it is. And secondly, the inquiry is overhyped. The inquiry is supposed to be being kind of announced by the ultra-conservative, ultra-reactionary chair of the Charity Commission, who is called Baroness Stowell of Beeston. Now, there are several Beestons in England, so cannot immediately kind of establish which Beeston this one is talking about. One Beeston that is known to be in Nottingham, in the outskirts of Nottingham. But there is another Beeston, and there may be more than two Beestons. Whichever Beeston she is aligned with, this Baroness Stowell is a very ignorant person, because she is the chair of the Charity Commission, and she is in the same report. The Boris graph says that she is, or the reports in other kind of outlets say that she is about to retire or leave the Charity Commission. Whether she leaves the Charity Commission immediately or in a few months' time, probably in January, is immaterial, because the Charity Commission, as viewers of this program would be familiar, is one of the corrupt kind of regulators operated in this country that do not regulate, do not audit the outfits and the agencies that they are supposed to be regulating and auditing. And the Charity Commission in particular is a negligent, callous, and corrupt outfit, made corrupt by the personnel that are in various positions and posts. The idea of an auditing Charity Commission is fine, but it's not being delivered. The audit is not being delivered. That's number one. Number two is the timing of the announcement and the putting of it in the front page as the main story on Saturday by the Boris graph is brazenly, shamelessly stupid and doesn't care about audit, ethics, morality, whatever. The Charity Commission doesn't audit, let alone investigate, most of the organizations against whom the Charity Commission receives literally thousands of complaints from people who know the facts and know the evidence and are convinced of the veracity and the accuracy of their complaints against various registered charities. Now, the National Trust is one of the numerically biggest kind of charities, and it is not either particularly revolutionary, particularly kind of most certainly not socialistic. And the only reason why it has been in the news recently is because of its control over various properties that include statues of the likes of Winston Churchill, statues or former homes of the likes of Winston Churchill. It is essentially a right of center kind of charity outfit that cannot be accused of being anything other than very consistent with racist kind of policies. So why is it being threatened with an investigation? The answer is because it issued 100+ pages of document explaining the various properties and structures it controls that have been found to be connected with slavers, slave owners, slave trade, and so on. And this came about in the last, let's say, year. And the report itself that the National Trust issued or published is not in the slightest anti-racist, let alone being kind of willing to accept the allegations that have been made against Churchill and the other slave owners and slave traders. What it does is a kind of democratic veneer. It presents a democratic veneer that actually resonates in the headlines. That all the organizations like the National Trust, which of course numerically is the biggest one in terms of the money and membership, etc., that they are actually in tune with the public mood or the popular mood or the mood of some campaigners. That is what it has done. And throughout the whole day yesterday, Saturday, we searched for evidence of any investigation, and there was no investigation underway. And the latest statement, temporarily, that is to do with the latest in terms of time, last 24 hours following the daily Boris graph kind of confirming that it is running the story. The National Trust personnel have issued statements saying that they have not been given any notice about any investigation. And that is the correct position, because the National Trust won't be found to have done anything to oppose the racist status quo or to condemn the slave trade or slavery role that the British imperialists have kind of profited from. Although it does have various sentences and phrases in that report, but it doesn't disown empire, imperialism, colonialism, and most certainly does not oppose racism and racist colonialism. And it doesn't identify Winston Churchill as the person who caused the genocide in 1943 to the millions of people in Bengal who died of starvation that he caused by diverting resources away from the then colonized subcontinent into other kind of purposes. And so therefore, this Boris graph is a kind of typical knee-jerk, racist, diversionary pretext. Two other examples from the recent kind of headlines. One is that when the UK Court of Appeal ruled allowing Shamima Begum to return to the UK to pursue her appeal against the UK Home Office, is a Pakistani Home Secretary, Sajid Javed, removing her British citizenship. She is a born British person. So when that ruling was kind of published and made known, Boris Johnson immediately declared that he would scrap the legal aid system. He would scrap legal aid. I mean, Shamima Begum never got the legal aid. What she got was the very, very modest kind of representation by licensed law traders who appeared in court by getting money paid in the name of Shamima Begum. Shamima Begum never got any money. No, she would never get any money. And yet Johnson made that declaration. And that was typical, completely corrupt, unfit, stupid, ignorant, untrue utterance by Johnson. But it served the purpose of giving the Fleet Street liars and racists another pretext to run that story, as if it was a substantial story. It wasn't. And he cannot do any more damage to the basic, already fragile kind of state of human rights legislation or law that is allowed in this country, because most of the lawyers and the entirety of the judicial system, except one or two, is made up of racists and deniers. So we should be talking about that extensively in updates later on. And this part of the exclusive Khoodeelaar World Diagnosis of Fleet Street, World Exclusive Diagnosis, World Exclusive Khoodeelaar Original Diagnosis of Fleet Street will start in a few minutes' time, say about 14:30 or thereafter, between 14:30 and 14:40 GMT today, Sunday, 25th of October 2020. And that is when we shall be taking a diagnostic look at today's Sunday Fleet Street.